Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC and this is a match review for Chelsea versus Newcastle United. This is my match review series on the channel where I'll be reviewing every match of this season, so without further ado, this is the good, the bad and the ugly. Welcome to GBU. Today we'll be looking at our previous game, a somewhat disappointing 1-1 score draw against Newcastle United in our third game of pre-season. This game was a game of two halves, Chelsea playing very well in the first, but less so in the second, but there is still a lot to digest and talk about, so let's get stuck into this. As a reminder, I'll quickly go through how this works. I'll be taking 6, or more depending on circumstance, things from the game and giving them a grading of good, bad or ugly in these 3 designated boxes. For this game in particular, I'll be sticking to 7 points, so if there's anything you think is missing, let me know. So, we'll start from left to right and then go back to left so we can end on a positive note as usual. The first thing I want to put in the good box is a player that, to be quite honest, could have a brand new separate box of his own because he's been an absolute revelation and will likely be in this good box every week, Nico Jackson. Another clinical goal for him in the first half of this one, collecting the ball in behind before neatly slotting it past a scrambling Martin Dubravka. Not only did he score once again, but I think this game really showed not only what we get when he does play, tenacity, energy, good hold-up play, link-up play, runs in behind and clinical finishing, but it showed how bad we can be when he is absent. He came off for the second half and we looked completely lost at times, not having that focal point to bounce off of. I never really like using this term because it's slightly disrespectful, but he does genuinely look like a Didier Drogba regen. He has that same willingness to keep the ball, the same clinical, decisive ball striking, the same drive and determination to win the game for his team. And we saw this with an excellent passage of play where he bullied 2 of the Newcastle defenders, sent them both on the floor before driving into the box and putting in a cross. I'm so glad I was right about this guy because not only is he a great footballer, but he seems like a top bloke to have in the dressing room too, well spoken, speaking multiple languages and being an overall positive influence on others around him. He's going to the very top and I fully believe that Nico Jackson is the real deal. We finally got to see Jackson play with Christopher and Nkunku, and though I don't think he had the best game, seeing these two together on the pitch is always a positive, and they seem to match up with each other pretty well. However, the player that Jackson linked up with in this game is the second thing to enter the green box, Ian Maatsen. Maatsen got himself another goal involvement in this one, playing a wonderful through pass in order to assist Nico Jackson for the goal, but the assist is not the only reason he is in this box. I think Maatsen is starting to show why Poch is trusting him so much in the front line. He's now started all 3 pre-season games in an attacking role, and despite him looking a little less desirable in the Brighton game, he's still been one of our best players and even looked good playing on the opposite flank in this one. Him coming inside and allowing James to roam up higher was a neat little tactical choice from Poch, similar to how I discussed with Kieran Trippier in the lead-in for this game. I think Maatsen's versatility is such a valuable asset to this football club, and I will not be surprised if he starts the next game against Fulham as well. Let's move into the bad box for a moment and touch on some less than ideal things. But before we do, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. We are less than 1,000 subscribers away from 15k, so if everyone watching this right now clicks that subscribe button and joins the masses, we can hit that goal. There's only going to be one thing in this bad box this time, and it's for our left back situation in general, but I'm going to focus on Marc Cucurella. There is no denying that our available left backs are just not up to Chelsea standard at the moment, and Cucurella is no exception. He was majorly at fault for the goal that we conceded, once again falling into a trap which I have discussed in the past, pressing way too hard and not anticipating his opponent's movements. I've put Cuckoo in the bad box and not the ugly box because, to give him credit, apart from this one mistake, I think that he played pretty well overall, but at a club the size of Chelsea you just cannot be making these types of mistakes consistently like he is doing. He is way too eager to try and win the ball back at times and isn't smart enough with his pressure. When I spoke about this before, I described it as him trying too hard, and I genuinely feel that this is the case. I don't think he's a bad player, I just think someone needs to get in his ear and tell him to calm down and stop making rash decisions, because we see him do this thing over and over again, and it's not good enough. Let's move on to the ugly box before we get back to the positives. The first thing I'm going to address again is Raheem Sterling. I hate to say I told you so. Well, actually, I love to say I told you so, because I did. Raheem Sterling is simply not good enough for Chelsea Football Club. He's been consistently the worst winger in the squad for 3 games running now, and no matter how many times we give him that chance, I don't think his form will change. With Martin now taking up a winger role too, I genuinely don't see a place in the side for Raz, which is really annoying to have to say because on a human level I love the man, I think he's a genuinely good guy, but unfortunately that doesn't translate into footballing ability. He's looked so off the pace every time he's played, and unless he gets his act together, I think he's in serious danger of being sold. There are only 2 games of preseason left, and he doesn't look fit enough, he's constantly losing the ball, and when he doesn't lose the ball, he's not doing anything progressive with it either. I would much rather see any of Maatsen, Mudryk, Angelo or Moreira playing on that pitch over him at the moment, and if he starts against Fulham, I will quite honestly be shocked. The second thing in the ugly box is going to be for Kepa Arrizabalaga. While admittedly his distribution was slightly improved from the last game, his shot stopping is still woeful, and as I've said in the past, we can do so much better. I originally was going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the goal he conceded, but when you compare him to Nick Pope, who came on for the second half and looked world class, the difference is absolutely night and day. I fully believe that if we had Nick Pope in net, he saves that shot from Almiron, and we would have comfortably won this game. Pope showed Kepa that there are levels to this game, and for a team that want to be fighting for a top 4 position and winning trophies, you need your goalkeeper to be up to that level. Kepa simply is not good enough for Chelsea Football Club, and the sooner our goalkeeper situation is resolved, the sooner we get back to winning titles. I am fed up with trying to find a way to defend this guy, because he makes every single shot he faces look unsavable when any half-decent shot stopper would save them. Moving back into the good box, the next thing I want to talk about is the return of Reece James. You'd think that coming back from an injury or illness would make James slow down or not be at his best, but he turned up to this game and looked like Reece James in his prime. Captaining the side for the first time, and boy doesn't that just sound right. James put on a clinic against his opposite number, leading by example by defending well, being strong and hard to get past as always, but also being an attacking threat high on that right hand side. He showed his excellent ball playing ability with a few lovely passes down the line into the channel, a few wonderful switches of play over to the left, and a few simply exquisite crosses into the box that were unfortunately not converted. I really hope that this is the season we can finally see Reece play a consistent amount of games and be free from any major injuries, and with Malo Gusto, who was also excellent when he came on for the record, as competition, I think these two will elevate each other and allow us to rotate James out when he needs to be with no cost. I should say here that I love Reece coming in as our captain too. He is Chelsea Football Club through and through, and I believe that he's a perfect candidate for the armband next season. Lastly, the final thing going into the good box is for our young centre-back Bashir Humphreys. I think Bash stepped up in this one and proved that he definitely has the tools to become a top centre-back. He was a little bit shaky at the start but grew into the game very well and didn't look out of place at all, standing in excellently for Levi Colwill. He was also not afraid to try risky passes, and the first goal came all the way from him when he pierced a lovely line-breaking pass into the feet of Enzo Fernandez in the middle, who then played it to Casadei, into Maatsen, and through for Jackson to score. I don't think people appreciated how important his involvement with this pass was for the goal, because he completely takes 5 of the Newcastle players out of the equation with one pass, leaving them with not enough numbers to defend as efficiently. He played very calmly and smartly for a young lad, especially under the vast amount of pressure that the Newcastle players were putting on us. It's nice to see us have another great left-footed centre-back option, and I think he's played well enough to earn himself a high-level loan move, or even a rotational place for cup gains in the upcoming season. Finally, the comments of the day. I got another great selection of good responses last time out, so here are some of the comments from the last question of the day. As always, thank you guys so much for the support. Now for this video's question of the day, what do you think went wrong for us in this game, and how would you have fixed it? But that was just another episode of GBU. Thank you ever so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this match in the comment section below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a video from me, or check out some of the other videos on the channel on screen right now. I've been Mono from Mono CFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.